Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and EdTech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 119, and we have so much to talk about today. I want to bring on my co-host with the most host, Sue Vincent. How are you today?
Hey there, everybody. Thanks for listening. It's great to be here after the holidays, and we're heading toward Christmas and plugging along these last few weeks before Christmas break, whether you're face-to-face, hybrid, remote, what have you. I hope everybody out there is doing well. How's it going, Jeff? You've been involved with ISTE this past week, right?
We had a fantastic ISTE conference. It didn't even feel like an ISTE conference. If you guys happen to check out the ISTE conference, go to any of the sessions, go to any of my sessions. We would love to hear from you. I was in school all last week. It's more than I can say for many of our teachers who buildings were going online and offline all the time. But, Friday, I had an amazing opportunity to do an ISTE playground session sponsored by NCCE and Microsoft, and had an awesome opportunity to actually do a presentation with one of our tech coaches at my school.
Right.
Microsoft and NCCE set up all these weeks. It was like a poster session, and I did 2 sections on Microsoft Teams. And then the really cool part, and the part that I'm extremely excited and proud of, is one of our teachers, tech coaches, did a presentation all on Microsoft Sway, which is, I know, something that we did a long time ago in one of our shows. I love Sway, but it was really cool, right? Here was a tech coach that we've been working together for many months now, 6-8 months now, and we worked, we gave her a topic, we put it together, and just to see, we're all about mentorship, we're all about working together. Absolutely. And to see these other tech coaches out there shine on a grand stage like ISTE, it was absolutely awesome.
Makes you proud.
It does. It really, really does. It's awesome to see people kind of step out and break out of that shell and egg, and you know what I mean. But
yes.
And then on Saturday, we did our session on podcasting and how to do student-run podcasting. We talked a little bit about WeVideo and some of the equipment and all of that wonderful stuff in there. So, it wasn't the same. I think it was supposed to be in San Antonio. I don't remember where it was supposed to be.
I think you're right.
But San Antonio always has a memorable place in my stable. First time I realized that we had triplets on the way was in San Antonio.
San Antonio several years ago was one of my first. I think that was my first time when it was still NECC. 2009 or so.
It's a great place. I'm looking forward to. I mean, ISTE's only so far away. We've already had the ISTE presentations being put in. It is a crazy time with everything. But ISTE was great, and now it's on to the next thing. And for us, that next thing is setting up January, setting up the second half of the year. I know that sounds weird.
2021.
But one of the things that we're excited about doing is making sure that not only are we preparing our teachers for the future, but also preparing our families and our community is ready for the future. So today we're going to talk all about how you can help your parents out, help build that community, foster a community of EdTech. And it's not just parents at home helping kids on hybrid. That's just the start, but really helping them to understand, lifting them up a little bit. So you know a little bit about this. What do you know about parents? What have you done to help out parents in your community?
Well, obviously with 2020, it's gotten a little bit ramped up, but prior to that, we've always tried to be involved in our community as tech coaches in both of the school systems I've worked in. We've had parent technology nights. In my former district, we were always Title I funded, which we got some federal funding. And you kind of had to get parents involved as a component of that. So one of the things we used to do was internet safety nights. We did just general technology education nights, introducing them to the things that the students were seeing in the classroom and using. So we've tried to get parents involved as much as possible. And one thing I've done in our school system now is get them involved in social media. And there's a family support, we're Christian Academy of Louisville, so we have the Cal Family Support System Facebook group, and I try to post things in there as myself and let them know who I am. I'm the technology integrator for the school system. I'm here for you to share resources for parents, safety information, and that type of thing. And especially here during remote, I'm sharing resources of, oh, here's how you log your child onto ClassLink. Here's how you access Google Classroom, and putting those things out there. And people have been very grateful for that.
Back that up for a second, because when we talk about tech coaching and we talk about explaining our roles to teachers, we talk a lot about relationships, and we talk about how, it's important for teachers to understand that we're just guides on the sides and teachers and stuff. Like, how do you explain what your role is to parents who don't understand, that they might see a teacher and a principal, but they don't see what a para is, they don't see what a support specialist is, they don't see what a coach is. How do you explain that to other people?
Absolutely. And if you don't explain it correctly, they think you're just part of the IT department and you're there to fix their issues. So, I try to explain it that I'm there for the teachers and their students in helping them learn how to use technology within their classroom. Once we have the hardware working, I explain it to the parents that I'm there to take it from the hardware into actually using the programs. And I train the teachers and provide the technology training for them. And they seem to understand it better that way. How have you approached that?
I try to remind people, remind's the wrong word, but I always start with, I'm a teacher and my students are the teachers, right? So I am in charge of making sure that your students have the best education. It's a weird way to put it, right?
Absolutely, yes.
But it is that hard thing. Maybe we can do that as a topic actually one day. How do you explain what you do at the Thanksgiving Day table? Right?
Absolutely.
Now, in my district, one of the things that we started over the summertime is a program called Parent University. And with Parent University, we were doing courses designed originally by teachers, by our tech coaches, for parents. And we kept it pretty much hybrid central. So how to do Flipgrid, how to do Google Classroom, how do you help your student on? And then over time, we expanded that into more broader terms. We did an entire month with our friends at Common Sense Education on digital citizenship. We brought in our friends from Securely, and we talked about cyberbullying and cyber safety and digital footprints, and how through our Securely system, a parent can use the Securely app, et cetera, right?
Yes.
And those so far have been extremely helpful. They've been extremely successful. I think that they've been a great way to introduce some of these topics into the community. And also, it gave the coaches and our whole district, my goal in putting it together, Sue, is really help us be rock stars, right? It's not us versus them. It's not parents and teachers. It's no. We are all in this together, and this is how we're going to start it. Now, the idea is, as this progresses, maybe every building has a parent university. Maybe, Sue, if you happen to be a cook, right? Maybe you do a parent university session on how to do baking with your kids, right? So the idea here is to get parents involved and really teaching community, not necessarily giving the tech coaches another thing. It's we want this to, community teaching community and community to rise each other. So, we talk a lot about whole child. My concept for this is whole Norwalk.
Absolutely. We've gone through something similar. We're not into it quite as deep as you guys are, but, and this is where in another episode we talked about bringing all the different departments in the school or the system together. And this is where my department, academic services and curriculum, we worked collaboratively with the marketing department, which also includes a position someone has called parent liaison. And we've worked closely with them and the parent liaison to, create these various programs in the evenings. I know last year before COVID hit, we had one, and my coworker, the other technology coach, she presented several sessions on Canvas, our learning management system, and how to just quickly navigate. And then we started basic from there. And then we bring in some of the cyber safety and things like that. So that's worked well for us in getting all of the departments to work together to reach the families.
Now, what are we looking at for these topics, right? I'm trying to figure out right now, what does January, February look like? And it's easy to say, oh, it's the holidays, everyone's busy. Oh, it's the beginning of the year, everyone's busy. It's January. Look, every day you can say that.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to attack this a little differently, and we're trying to plan ahead, not for right now, but for next year. So one of the things that we're working on right now is to figure out and say, all right, I know this is a crazy year, but in September, this is where we want to be as a district. So let's start offering those trainings now, both to teachers, but also to the parents. Parents, this is how your students are going to start to move. These are the applications that they're going to start to need. This is how we're going to look, we're changing a grade book, all these different things, right? So this is the direction that we're looking to move. Now that does a couple things here. Let me kind of throw that fourth wall up here. Not only is that preparing the parents, but when we get our tech coaches, that's actually encouraging our tech coaches to start thinking ahead. That's encouraging our district to start learning these things 6 to 8 months ahead. And instead of giving a PD session on something, it's, you're going to go teach it, go have fun. And there's a lot of other things in there. I don't know if I'm quite explaining that one right, but the idea is let's start teaching before we start teaching and see where this goes.
And what better way to learn by teaching it and, bringing in those parents and giving them that acclimation to the things that you're doing in your district.
And if you can, this is going to sound bad. I don't mean it this way, but if you can break things down to a community level and teach at a community level, walking into a classroom, you are going to know your stuff.
Exactly. Very much.
And I've done a lot of presentations for community members. I remember going into doing a whole, this is social media for our local community. And you minute details of every little thing. And at the end of the presentation, social media back and forth.
Absolutely. And what rapport you're building and support from that community you're going to get and continue to get moving forward.
And on top of that, if you're building out these resources, guess what you have now when you actually go to roll it out to your staff? You have your PDFs, your videos, you might have to change the format a little bit, but a video on how to do Flipgrid is a video on how to do Flipgrid sometimes.
Exactly. I mean, over the summer when I was updating my Google Classroom videos for teachers, as we prepared to teach face-to-face and or remote, I did that. I tweaked a couple of them, kept a couple of them as they were, and shared them. Then I shared them with parents. And it was as easy as that. And now that we've gone back to remote just since Thanksgiving, our parents are eating those up and, emailing back and replying on social media how grateful they are for these resources.
And that's pretty awesome, right? My whole thing is one band, one sound. And that's something I say to all my tech coaches. We want to be one unit teaching the same skills.
Yes.
Not Jeff does a Google Classroom thing and then Sue makes a different Google we're going to make one deal here. And
we're all in it for the same goal, whether you're a parent or a student or a teacher or a tech coach.
And it's come out really well. There for the digital learning lessons, we had a topic that we did 3 different ways. And the cool thing about that is we created a slide deck with the help of common sense. And then when we did it ×2 and ×3, it wasn't the same, but it was an elementary version and a high school version, but it was all based off the same slides. Now, obviously, the presentation, the presenters could have done whatever they need, but it was the same trick over and over again. So it was less work to get everything out. Is really where I think I'm going with this. It was really, really nice to see.
So, I mean, good stuff. Getting those parents involved in any way that, if you're a new tech coach, don't think that just because you left the classroom that you're finished dealing with parents forever. I've been guilty of that in past years, but you're not, because it's so important to keep that rapport and keep them supporting you.
You mean working with?
Yes. Did I say dealing?
You still
Working, dealing, yes. Well, they deal with us too, so we'll go both ways there.
Just had to.
You had to point that out.
No, we're all having fun with us.
Hey, we're parents too. I'm sure.
We are all parents. With all
teachers deal with me too, so it's all good.
When we're looking at all of this, I mean, I know right now your district is on remote.
Correct.
My district, buildings differ. It's a big district. We got 20 some buildings, and everything is always flexible and up in the air. I gotta ask before we kind of wrap up here, but where do you see things going? Here we are. You look at the news, you see the word vaccine, but then you're also seeing things like July and August, right? Do you? We didn't plan this conversation, but do you think it's possible that September is going to be normal?
I pray every day it is, but I don't know. It's just hard to say. Back in March, we thought, oh, by May, the end of the school year, we're going to go back in August and I'll be fine. And here we still sit. So, it's just up in the air, and it's hard, no matter your belief system, your political affiliation, it's hard to know which side of the media to believe. You just have to discern for yourself, and, it's hard to figure out what's going to happen.
What I know is going to happen, Sue, is that next week we are going to be back.
Yes.
And on Wednesdays, we're going to be having our Tech Coach Roundtable. And if you're interested in joining our Tech Coach network, please feel free to check us out over at askthetechcoach.net. You can fill out our form. We're happy to bring you into the family. It is a free membership. You get a chance to check out all the online courses, our weekly show, all of the great things that happen. You can go over to askthetechcoach.net for our network. And all of our podcast episodes are going to be archived on askthetechcoach.com. And of course, if you're looking for us on social media, you can find everything on Ask the Tech Coach on Twitter. Now, the one thing we didn't mention, Sue, is something new popped out of TeacherCast over the last couple of days. I don't know if you noticed or not, but kind of turned the crank a little bit on our YouTube channel. Yeah, and we've been putting out some stuff. The last week, we have been on a major kick on Microsoft Stream. Now, that is an app we haven't really talked about. I think we're going to be bringing that up in a future episode here. But Microsoft Stream is pretty cool. Last Saturday, we put out a huge 25-minute or so Microsoft Stream Complete. Got a lot of great reviews on that. Check that out. We're going to make sure all the links and stuff are in here. But also on top of that, we've been breaking it down into smaller chunks, how to make a screencast, how to upload video, how to add channels, all these little different spots here. We are definitely starting up this YouTube channel as we get into 2021. And with that, I said, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you guys have any suggestions for videos, for topics, things that you're seeing, things that you'd love to share or see shared, please let us know. We would love to have you guys check this out. You can, of course, find our channel over at teachercast.net/YouTube. And if you check that out, we've gained a couple hundred subscribers in the last few days just by doing this, and would love to have you guys, again, be part of the TeacherCast Educational Network YouTube subscriber family. So check out all that great stuff as we go here. And Sue, I got to ask, it is tradition now. You know what I'm going to ask at the end of every show. How is that website?
It's still there.
It's still there, ladies and gentlemen.
TechImaginations.net. It's there.
It's coming.
Check it out.
It's coming.
It's coming bigger and better than ever in January.
In January of 2021? It's coming soon. TechImaginations.net. Sue, I got to say, it was great having ISTE. It's great having these shows. Yeah. If you're a tech coach out there, we would love to have you join us. And that's going to wrap up episode number 119 of Ask the Tech Coach. On behalf of Sue and everybody here on the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.